And welcome to Fathoms Deep, a Black Sails podcast from Common Room Radio. I'm Liz Stevens.
And I'm Daphne Olive.
And we're at episode 26.
Holy moly, how did we do
26.
this?
26.
I know.
That doesn't seem right. That we've met and done this 26 times?
We've met and done this more than 26 times. It's crazy.
Wow. That is crazy.
I know.
It's been a grand adventure, darling. Thank you for joining me.
It has been a grand adventure. Thank you for joining me. Cheers. To 26. Cheers. Wow. Yes, I was thinking about that today, and I'm in shock. And it's been a good road. So, yeah, this is a great episode. This was
a great episode.
Yeah. I just want to remind everyone that we finally got our carriage scene.
We did.
We chatted with Lucas Etlin about that. And damn, if that scene, I watched it so many times this week, and I now know, we put a link. If someone goes back and finds our Lucas Etlin conversation, we put a link about the special effects. I know exactly when it switches from real people to special effects people. And I don't see it. It's amazing.
It's really beautifully done. It's seamless work.
It really is. And just hearing his description of what they did with the camera just makes it a million times more interesting.
It is really cool. Well worth the effort. It was a great scene.
Oh my goodness. It's spectacular. We will talk about that more in depth in a little bit. Before we start, I would like to bring up a few things. The first thing is that I would like to tell everyone that Liz has a new podcast.
Oh!
That she's doing with her best friend, Sarah. Mm-hmm. And I've got to say that both of them, but especially Liz, have such bravery to be so honest about their feelings and their lives. And if you love Liz here, you should listen to her there because it's very moving while being very funny and a great listen. But yes, cheers to you, darling. You are the bravest person I know.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's called Porch Club with Liz and Sarah. So you can find that anywhere you can find a podcast.
Super raw, super fun.
It is very raw. Yeah, we drink a lot and we talk about life as it is happening. Yeah. Yes. No holds barred.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you will manage to lose your shit laughing and kind of cry every episode.
That is so far been the case. Yes.
So, okay. And then the next bit of business is that I designed some Fathoms Deep jewelry.
Yes, you did. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous too. Yeah. All of the jewelry you did is just, it's so much fun.
The link will be in the show notes. You can go to my website and we have a page. It's daphneolive.com.
Easy enough.
And then you can go to the Fathoms Deep page and we have jewelry that says Proper Pirate and Adult Feelings and Queen of Nassau.
I'm so pleased.
And I hope everyone loves it. And
Janux. Don't forget Janux.
And Janux. Hashtag Janux even.
Yep.
And this will help support Common Room Radio so that we can make more podcasts.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the last thing is the one that I've been very excited to announce to everyone.
Yes.
When we're done with season 3, sometime between our finishing season 3 and the beginning of season 4, we're going to have a very special guest. John Steinberg's going to come and talk to us about seasons 1 through 3.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
The creator himself. Oh,
I know.
So exciting.
I know. We're going to have a giant list of questions for him. I have no idea how long we're going to make him sit with us and talk.
As long as he'll let us, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. We'll hope to inspire him to have a drink with us. And yes, we are going to ask him so many questions before season 4 starts. So that's going to be really fun. We do have some other announcements coming up, but until we complete the scheduling for those, we are going to not announce those yet.
We'll sit on those for now.
But John Steinberg, the man himself, we're so excited.
Stay tuned.
Yep. But yeah, I'm ready to just get going with this episode. How about you?
Yeah, sure. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so I did break this one again into 3 pieces. They're slightly different, or maybe similar to last time. One piece, the first one I want to talk about is the pirate, what I'm calling the pirate conspiracy.
Okay.
Plus the kerosene, plus the Jack and Roger stuff.
So,
Okay, and then next I want to talk about Nassau, governmental Nassau, I guess we'll call it.
Sure.
Talk about Rogers and Eleanor and Max. And then at the end, we're going to talk about Silver and Maddie.
Silver and Maddie. Okay.
Saving your favorite part to the end. I don't know.
Yeah,
or maybe,
I
don't know. I think you're going to have favorite parts in all 3 of these sections, to be honest.
I think you're probably right. Yeah. Oh, and I'll have to consider that. I don't know if I know my favorite part.
Okay.
Never mind. So, yep. Okay.
Oh, I don't know if I know mine, but I'll come up with it while we go.
Yes, it'll come to you as we're talking, I'm sure.
Okay. Excellent. All right, let's do it.
Prepare to board. Aye.
So we start at Miranda's house.
We do. Yep. Lovely with the upturned teacup.
Yep.
The clanging of that one note on the harpsichord, which my subtitle is called a clavichord, which I had never heard of before. What is a clavichord? Same difference?
I meant to look that up, and I didn't. And the other thing I was going to check, but I didn't, was the thing that this reminds me of, the one note, is Abigail.
Yes, of course.
Because that's exactly...
It was definitely a callback to that.
Right. So I'm just curious if it's the same note.
Oh, wow.
And I have no ear for music, so the
Probably
truth is...
not.
Yeah, but yes.
That would be very particular.
And I felt like it's a beautiful reminder, but I can't figure out a direct connection, if that reminder is supposed to be saying something very specific to us. I was hoping you maybe would have an idea.
I don't know. Writer's perspective, if it was going to say anything to us, it would just be just evocative enough so that there's something in your memory that's making you think about Miranda's death, but you don't know why.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Well,
which I did. We were there in her house.
Yes.
She was not there. Her absence was palpable.
Right.
She would be making music if she were at the piano.
She would.
Plus, you get that one chord the haunted Abigail had done.
Yeah.
So that would be my guess.
Yes. I mean, there's so many things. The fact that it's not tidy. The fact that...
Yeah.
I mean, we still remember I kept thinking about when in the beginning of season 1 when Flint sniffs that
smells the thing. I was just thinking
right,
that.
and you thought that was tea, and I always think about that when you see the teacups kind of overturned,
and it can't possibly be tea because it was too small. But yes, I wonder what it was.
Yeah. So yeah, I do love this scene a lot.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. And I love that we don't see Vane at first at all. Mm-hmm. And then when he does kind of emerge there in the background, he's a little blurred and in shadow. Mm-hmm. And it's just bizarre seeing Charles Vane in that house, right?
Yep. This is the first time we've seen him in a house.
Yeah. Yeah. He's always in tents and in the fort. Everything looks cavish. And he seems a little uncomfortable there, too. He calls it... He's not moved by it in quite the same way that Flint is, which was interesting. What did you think about their conversation about domesticity?
I love their conversation about domesticity. I mean, I thought this was interesting. I don't feel like there's any part of this conversation that's surprising about Flint. I mean, I don't think...
No, certainly not.
Well, yeah, there are many ways that I think it's fascinating about Vane. I love that he talks about... He talks about the fragile things, kind of with disgust, but not in the way I would have expected. And so, I mean, he does say the thing about he understands a woman wanting these things, but not a man. So that's kind of the way you would expect it. But I love that he says the energy that it must take to maintain them.
Yes, which it does, certainly.
Right, exactly. That holding together a household, a community, these things all take a lot of effort.
Yeah. And that's something that's very new to Vane. I mean, now, of course, he's on the side of community and being a part of something, but he never really was before.
Right. I mean, he's just chosen to have a den. goes back to the lion and den conversation.
Right, back to the dens. Mm-hmm.
So, right, this is a new thing to him. And again, having a pirate nation, having a pirate republic is not quite the same thing as having a house full of china.
That is true.
Unlike it, because there are things that are very fragile in keeping a community together, and we're about to see that with Silver and Maddie, how fragile, how much effort it takes to keep things together.
That's right. How much maintenance? Yes.
But again, it was so interesting, and then I love that when Flint says, you know, don't you have this instinct? And Vane says, I would fight it with everything I have.
Yeah. Well, and he has that great. That great little speech about how, like, that's how England gets you. That's how they take you.
That's their most dangerous weapon, he says.
That's it. Yeah. Give us your submission and we will give you the comfort you need, which, I mean, timely, of course.
Right.
And then also was reminiscent a little bit of Huxley, Brave New World. Did you read it? Very reminiscent of that.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The thing that it reminded me of within the show is when Jack comes to sign his name to get his pardon. And Featherstone's the one that says, you know, she's like, it's not bad, this life.
Yeah.
And that's and it's interesting from Featherstone, who's now part of their conspiracy. Mm-hmm. Because Featherstone was willing to take that comfort until he realized what the price was. Like the minute he saw that the price was being lied to, then he was no longer willing to pay that price.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about this is at some point you see, like, I think it's when Anne's actually talking. It's not when Vane's talking, but you just see Vane in the background holding a cup. And he's just kind of like turning it over in his hands and playing with it, fidgeting, like Megan brought up. He's fidgeting with this cup, but it's like, I always love it because it feels like he's holding some object that's like from another planet. I just loved that juxtaposition. I just loved that choice that they made. Like, it's just a really wonderful character thing that he's holding this thing, not like it's poison, not like it's like a hot iron that he's holding, but just like this thing that's just like, you know, what is this? What is this all about? And that just gives me joy. So then they have their conversation about whether, you know, they're waiting for information about the routes to go. And it's interesting what Anne and Flint say to each other at that point. That Anne's like, we can't wait. Anne, like she's
Anne, yes,
Anne, our action person, not our strategic person. And then she says, you all will lose this, you'll lose that. She said, what I have to lose ain't so easy to recover from. Mm-hmm. It makes me so sad for her.
It does, yeah. She's in a hard spot right now.
I know. And then Flint reaffirms the coalition. He's just like, this is, we all want different things, but we have one goal. And I just feel like that, that's just the perfect description of what a coalition is. Like that's...
Yeah. It was actually reminiscent to me a little bit of Silver, the early days of Silver. It's like, that you can count on me because we ultimately want the same thing. So...
And I feel like that shows growth for Flint. Once upon a time, he kind of wanted people around him to be believers. He wanted to be, you know what I mean? He like kind of, he wanted them to believe in what he's doing so that they would think he's good. Yes. Mm-hmm. And the way he said it is unlike Silver in that it's not a jaded thing where you would feel like he would turn on you in a second because in the way he said it. So it feels like true coalition, and yet it's very level-headed for Flint. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious now, like I hadn't thought about that before. I'm curious if this relates to the last episode, like we've been talking about kind of the things we've understood about Eleanor, that somehow she's better when she's not wearing the crown. We watched in the last episode, Flint give up a little bit of his power to Silver when he agreed for Silver to be the one to go to Nassau. So maybe if Flint starts delegating a little and feeling like the people around him can actually bear some of the burden, maybe that makes him a saner version of himself.
It could be. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Doesn't feel all that pressure that he's cracking under, you mean?
Exactly. And I don't know if that's true. I mean, we're about to see him relinquish a little bit more power in this episode. Like
That's true. Yeah.
This is an interesting development for Flint, and it's not something that in my former rewatches I really put a lot of focus on. So I'm curious how that will play out in the next 2 episodes.
Okay, yeah, we'll watch for that.
Right, that maybe he's kind of doing Flint and Eleanor so often kind of go down the same roads. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, this is kind of like, this is just super, super sane Flint that we have in this episode. We don't have a lot of Flint.
In
maybe
this
it's just
moment,
we don't.
Yeah, in this moment, he is very level-headed. Right. You're right.
Maybe it's just that we don't have enough of him.
That's sure possible. Yeah.
Give Flint enough time, and he will go off the rails a little bit.
Yes, definitely.
So let's talk about Jack and his cellmate.
Toby Schmitz is so delightful. I love him in here. This rousing speech to the mouse.
Oh, it's so dear.
Which it's so dear, and it's so optimistic, which is fascinating.
Right?
Because he has actually not been particularly optimistic in this last season. You know, he's been having his ass handed to him at every turn, really. And now here he is at the lowest of the low, and still giving this pep talk to the mouse, to himself. That every now and then
to the mouse,
world
to himself. I like that.
Exactly. Yeah. That the world will reward ambition.
Yeah.
And then, of course, later when we see him in the carriage too, he is absolutely holding out hope that this is not in fact the end. So it's very interesting to see this kind of optimism from him. And I love the little bit where he says, "Today the crumbs, tomorrow the loaf. Maybe one day the whole damn boulangerie," right?
Yep. That's the best line. I love it.
It's so wonderful. It's so
wonderful.
Good.
Yes, it is wonderful. Yeah, and it's true. Jack also not wearing crown right now. Maybe he's relieved of a burden. Maybe his comfortable place is where he can be a dreamer, not actually the person in charge.
Oh, isn't that interesting? Yeah. Huh. It's true. He's not good at being in charge most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time. Like he has those sparks of brilliance and he does all right, and he's scrappy, you know, so he scraps his way out of it.
Exactly. Yeah, like the Linus, you know, when he was in...
Yes. First day of pirate school.
Yeah, first day of pirate school.
Yep. Darling. Exactly.
Yeah, no, he definitely is scrappy. And yeah, I mean, Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah. I feel like every episode now, I'm just like, I'm really curious what's going to be in season 4. That's all I keep saying.
Yes.
I can't stop thinking about that. But yeah, maybe Dreamer is his happy place. That is his strongest place to be. Interesting. Okay, so then he gets into the carriage and he sees the cash, so he understands.
Yes.
And I know we haven't talked about Max yet, but it's so interesting. Like, he has to be making the exact same connection that Max did about Anne, that if she gave up.
Oh, yes, definitely. Absolutely, he is.
Right.
Well, I think that's why he's...
Right, why he's
like I
hopeful.
said, he has that optimism. He has that hopefulness. Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's true. And then and then he makes his little slip. Do you think that slip was intentional or not intentional when he says, "If I'm in Havana"?
I don't know. I actually felt like that was just a little bit heavy-handed for Woods to even pick up on it, because it just sounds like a smart aleck thing to say.
Right.
Like, well, if I'm going to be in Cuba, I better brush up on my Spanish.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know, like, it doesn't necessarily sound to me like, well, if this works out the way you think it will.
If he was doing it intentionally based on our
Especially
experience.
Jack Rackham doing things intentionally is, I mean, he lays it on pretty thick for you. He wants you to know that he's condescending right now.
It's totally true. Yes, so true. Right. And if he was using it as a ploy to somehow distract Rogers or use some tactic, he would have made it super obvious. So it was a slip. Well, now I'm sad. I like the idea of Woods Rogers catching it. No, it's okay. I'm not that sad because I love the scene anyway. So
it's a great scene.
It's a great scene. So yes, I did write down a whole lot of what Woods Rogers says here because I like it a lot.
Sure. Yeah.
So he says, "It's fascinating to me how stubbornly you people expect the unlikeliest of outcomes because you prefer them. You expect the world to become what you would like it to be despite all available evidence to the contrary." If anyone ever described pirates.
Yep.
And this goes back to what Miranda said, which I wish I had written that down too. That thing that, oh shoot, what did she say exactly? But you know what I mean? Like to shape
What does she say exactly? To make a future for themselves?
No, but she said something to like leave themselves behind and shape their futures or something like that.
It actually reminds me of the quote that I'm not going to know exactly verbatim, but the one that says that the reasonable man adapts himself to the world and the unreasonable man insists on adapting the world to him, and therefore all progress depends upon the unreasonable man.
Well, if that ever described most of our pirates.
Yes, yeah. I don't recall who did that quote, but it's a pretty famous one.
That's a good quote. Okay, so next, the next time we see Jack and Woods Rogers is when Jack's about to tell his story.
His backstory, yeah.
And I love his backstory. But before we get there, I just wanted to say, I love that when we come back to them and Jack starts, it seems they were in the carriage for a while at this point, and he just jumps into his story. Woods Rogers is not only reading a book, like this is how nonchalant he is about taking a man to his death, that he's just like sitting in the carriage with him reading a book to himself. But not only that, but when Jack starts telling his story, Woods Rogers doesn't close his book. He closes it on his, like he's holding his place. He closes it on his finger.
Oh, how funny.
And I'm like, man, give some respect. Like this guy has been interesting for you at the very least. Show a little respect as you take him off to his doom. But, again, I feel like the game, they're still playing the game. They're both still working very hard to, although maybe Woods isn't. Maybe he honestly, he's got no game to play as far as he's concerned. He doesn't think anything's going to happen anymore.
That's true. Yeah. He thinks he's made a really great plan.
Right. Mm-hmm. He honestly just doesn't really give a shit.
Very self-assured.
Right.
Yep.
He's done with Jack. But Jack's not done.
No. Yeah. We get this great story. And then he actually says the word calico, and I gasp audibly.
Yeah, that is a wonderful moment. I love that little wonderful detail for people who know.
Isn't that great?
For those who don't know, historical Jack Rackham's nickname was Calico Jack Rackham.
Uh-huh.
Which I believe was because he was just a dandy. He was a fancy dresser.
Uh-huh.
I like this story better.
Either way. Yeah, it's great.
This story is glorious, and it really gives us the beautiful backstory. Like Max's backstory, kind of filled in all of the empty spaces of wondering what her motivation was.
Right.
I feel like this really solidifies, we've been laughing at Jack to some extent about his obsession with his name.
Yeah, and now it's starting to make more sense. Yeah.
And I kind of like that too. I like that they took something comical and made it tragic. Like suddenly I felt like the first time I watched it, I felt kind of bad for being amused with him about his name, which was, I think, the correct emotion right here. I like that. Because this is kind of the moment that Jack Rackham is trying to get both Woods Rogers and all of us to take him seriously in a way that we haven't up until now. And it works for me. Like, this is a sad story.
It is. It is a sobering story.
It is. It's a story that is about injustice. I mean, so it really,
especially after that cut when he said, what did he say? You people? Was that what he said? You people?
You people is the worst thing you can say to someone.
The worst. Yeah. Yeah, so I can see where he felt the need to come back at him a little bit with that. And I love how he ends it when he says, you and I were neck and neck in this race all the way up to the end, but Jesus, did I make up a lot of ground to catch you.
I love that. I love that.
It is great. And you know that's exactly the kind of thing that's going to get under Woodes Rogers' collar.
Right.
Like, he might not show it, and he didn't show it, I didn't think, in the carriage, but yeah.
He showed it a tiny bit. Like, that's actually the moment when we see the scar, is when he finishes his story.
That is true. Yeah.
So that's when he turns Lily. We see the scar. And again, I just want to bring this back, like, to, I feel like this is important for us to understand that Jack's motivation is about injustice and not just about ambition, because this
of course
ties him in ways that we didn't understand up until now, to Flint's story, which is about injustice, to Billy's story, which is about injustice. We of course don't know Silver's backstory. I really hope we get it.
Yeah.
I like that one by one we learn backstories of our pirates, and in each case their choice of choosing this life has to do with injustice. Like, it's just going back to this whole thing about civilization, that civilization doesn't have space, doesn't have a place for all of these different types of people. Right. And that piracy came from that. Like, that their choices to be what they are now has to do with what civilization did to them. Mm-hmm. So this is Jack's turn to tell that story.
Yep.
Yes. And right, there's the part where he talks about, he tells about his dad and all this, and then he talks about the man who comes to him about the debts, and then he says that he would have to go to debtor's prison, and his debts would be discharged through hard labor, working at, and then he says, wait for it, production of textiles. I love
it's
that
beautiful
bit very much.
And Woodes Rogers likes that too. Of course, having written a book, he appreciates the story and the delivery of that last line.
Yes. Jack is nothing if not a great storyteller. He should write a book.
He should.
I want Jack Rackham's book. So then he turns, like you said, he turns his words on him and says, you people again. And then he says, to the man to whom the world was handed everything.
Yeah. And
then Jack says, I know you, I read your book. And this is where Woodes Rogers makes the point that I adore about him, is that he asks Jack if really the world has been kind to him and if he is softer than them.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then he says that you leave things out of the book.
Right.
Things you're capable of when pushed, and things that in polite society would keep you from being invited to dinner parties. And so this is when Woodes Rogers makes it clear. I mean, he's basically saying, look, I've got a pirate self, and this is the self that I choose not to show you.
Yeah.
Until I do.
And yep. Yeah. There is kind of a veiled threat there. I like it.
Oh, it's a terrific, and then a threat actualized, because the next thing that happens is that Woodes Rogers gets pushed.
Yes. And is amazing. But we'll get to that.
Well, actually, that's the next thing, is Woodes Rogers gets pushed.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, and I want to talk really quick about that beautiful look that Jack gives him when someone says that there are writers.
I know.
Isn't it beautiful? Oh, it's the best. And
it is the best.
It's understated in so many ways. Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yes, it's amazing and so fucking smug. I love it.
Smug it is. Yeah. It is smug. Oh.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's incredibly well done.
Yes. Yeah.
But Woodes Rogers just jumps. I mean, he starts commanding the men on what to do. He's taking the threat very seriously, which I appreciate. And then he climbs out the carriage window, arms himself, and is ready to just go down shooting. And I find that very attractive. I like it a lot. As a character and as, a man. I'm just saying that it was nice.
I like it when you get all excited about Woodes Rogers. It's very adorable. Yes, there is a lot to be excited about here. Also, let's take a moment to say how badass Jack is. That when Woods Rogers looks out the window and Jack's already with that chain. You know,
that's true.
That's true. That's a temporary victory, but
very temporary. Didn't get him too far,
but still, he deserves a little credit. But really, ultimately, I know you love Woods Rogers, but what we have to talk about here is Vane.
It's Charles Vane. Yeah, no, Charles Vane is amazing. Yeah,
holy shit! I know we talked about this with Lucas.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter. There are not enough words to describe how that man.
Well, he rides up on the wagon. He shoots the wagon's wheels out from underneath it, and then watches it flip, and then dismounts from the horse as it's still walking. Yeah, as the horse is walking, he is still walking. Neither of them miss a beat.
It's incredible.
And then he unmasks himself.
Right. Yes. Then he unmasks himself and pulls out another gun and shoots somebody.
Yep. It's sexy as hell. It's totally cool. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It's a baller move is what it is.
God. It's insane. It's insane and I love it.
And Zach McGowan did his own stunt.
Yes. Yeah. I'm flabbergasted by that every time I watch it. It's so beautiful, but I remember the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
I freaked out. I really freaked out. Yeah. So that's incredible, and then we get to the part where they get Jack out, and that's lovely. Yeah,
which is beautiful. They tell Flint to go on; he'll be right behind.
I know. I love the banter between Vane and Jack while he's trying to unhinge the
yeah,
so wonderful. And then we have Woods Rogers miraculously, because he flipped over at the carriage, miraculously get up. Okay, so this is the only thing I have a problem with.
Okay.
And I want you to help me through this. I don't love that Jack and Anne leave. I mean, I know this whole thing was to save Jack, so on some level, I don't love that they leave Vane.
I was going to say, because they leave before they realize exactly how much trouble he's in.
But Jack actually tells Flint at the end that the militia came before he could get away, and so they had to run. So they know. I know. But part of me was like trying to like be like, oh, they think it's just him and Woods Rogers, and they know he's Charles Vane, so therefore he'll be fine. But they tell Flint that the militia was coming. And now maybe they watched that from the woods. I mean, but now we're filling in story. So
yeah,
I don't hate it, but I don't love it. That's the one thing where I don't feel like they would have left him.
We don't see Rogers get up until the two of them start to ride away, do we?
Nope. He's already shot. Rogers shoots him. And then he's like on the ground saying
shit.
Go. Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't love it.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. That's fair.
Yeah. It needed to happen because stuff that we can't say. But
good story.
Good story. I mean, and it's not a major thing. Like, again, I can talk myself into believing it. Mm-hmm. But I feel like they wouldn't have done that. Again, Jack was in no shape to help anyone with anything.
That is very,
so
very
it was
true.
really just Anne. I mean, but again, I'm not sure this is a moment where people are being super practical.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I don't know.
I was hoping you could give
I'm
me
sorry.
some story.
Yeah,
no, it's okay.
I don't know if I can spin that one for you.
No, it's okay. But I do love the fight. Once they're gone, the fight is incredible between.
Oh my gosh,
between Vane
the fight
and Woods
between
Rogers.
Vane and Woods Rogers. Because I love the fight with Vane and Lowe too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we had was it Vane and Billy that we had a fight too? Like there's been some really good ones.
This
might be my new favorite though. It was gorgeously choreographed, and it was brutal. Man.
It was brutal, and that's part of what I love about it so much. I mean, aside from the choreography in general, like just badassery of it is. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is so important to see Woods Rogers doing this. It's so important
to see him be brutal. Mm-hmm.
To see him be brutal, to see that, that he's a scrappy fighter, that he, this is
very
not
capable.
Right. This is not a polite.
Ruthless.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. This is not a polite fight.
Yes.
This is like serious street fighting. He is a match, obviously, for Charles Vane. I mean, Charles was shot, but Woods Rogers just went over in a carriage.
Also,
So I would say, I'd say this definitely shows him very much both in strength and ability, but also in, attitude and scrappiness. It shows that he's a match for Charles. Mm-hmm. And so this between the carriage scene, between the carriage being, overtaken with riders and this, I feel like we really have just shifted our view of Woodes Rogers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Up until now, we knew he was smart.
Right. We knew that he must have some ruthlessness in him.
Right.
It was implied that he did anyway. We talked about him having that pirate side, but you're right. This is the first time that we actually get to see it.
Right. And that kind of changes. I mean, it does. When you're first watching, that's the moment when you really understand that Woodes Rogers is not the person you thought he was. Mm-hmm. At the very end, we see Flint and Billy waiting on the beach.
Oh, yes.
For Vane and Jack and Anne.
And I'm distracted by those gorgeous waves in the background. I have to say, someone take me to the beach, please.
I know, seriously, right? I do have moments like that in the show where I'm just like, that's a nice beach.
Yes, really beautiful.
I want to not be a pirate, but yes, be on that beach.
Yes, uh-huh.
That would be really nice. This is really fascinating. I mean, first, I love that Flint talks about how Vane hanging is not a message that they can have. So that's a complete callback to the end of season 2. The roles have been flipped.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then he wants to do exactly what Charles did. He wants to go in and save him himself. Yeah. And then Billy.
Billy is, again, I'm so proud of Billy. He's just turning into such a smart leading man.
I know, he is. That's true. He's becoming the leading man he was always meant to be.
Uh-huh.
So the 2 points here, I mean, I love that he talks about, we knew his backstory. We knew that he was the son of political activists.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But again, just like in the last episode, I love that he's now taking strides towards actually being a leader. Like he knew this about himself, obviously. But this is the first time he uses it to say, no.
Yeah.
You don't do your plan. I have a better plan. Mm-hmm. It's just like the last episode. I find this fascinating. This time he doesn't seem unsettled by it. He seems pretty confident. Like he
does absolutely seem confident about it.
In the last episode, he seemed unsettled by his ability to change Flint's course.
Mm-hmm.
And this
That's a
time...
good call.
This time he's having more confidence about it. Mm-hmm. And he's right. I mean, this is the one thing that they lacked, that they have Eleanor and Max being smart about the street on that side. Mm-hmm. It is actually brilliant to wage a military war and a propaganda war at the same time.
Absolutely it is. Yep. Yeah, and it's something that Billy is uniquely positioned to understand, which is really great.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And uses the strengths that he has as a storyteller, which are different than Flint's and Silver's.
They are very different. You're absolutely right. It's a very different kind of storytelling. Yeah,
exactly.
It is. That's
right, because Flint and Silver are people who will use their own charisma.
Yes,
their own ability to, in the moment, use words that they're saying to change people. And what Billy's proposing is a very different way of influencing one that Silver, I mean, I kind of believe that Silver could do anything if he wanted to.
Yeah.
But isn't really, as much as Flint is a strategic thinker, he's always relied on that. He always kind of gets into a bind and then falls back on his ability to use speeches.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
To people in front of his face to kind of get himself out. And, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work.
Yes.
Usually it works. Like,
usually it works. Yeah.
And when it doesn't work, he ends up killing his best friend, So.
Oh, God. Yeah. Yes.
But Billy has this understanding of another type of storytelling. Mm-hmm. And I just love that. I love that he stepped up. I love that he's so right that Flint cannot go back and try to save Vane because Flint needs to be doing something else.
Right. Yeah.
So that's just, it's yay, Billy.
No one else can marshal it, he said.
Right.
Yeah,
he's right.
That was a really great word choice.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. And I love that he says that when he's done with his storytelling, the governor won't be able to hang Vane. because of the street. So that will be interesting to watch that play out.
It will, yeah. Oh, man. Well, I loved what Jack says about if Charles knew that we were even considering this, he'd kill us all.
I know. Which again,
that was really great.
Again, like Charles, we're still getting used to Charles the strategist, Charles the long
I was gonna
thinker.
Say, yeah, and it's so interesting that Jack has immediately latched on to that and understands. Well, I think once you've known someone so long that even as they change, it doesn't really surprise you. You know, does that make sense?
No, it does, and I think that Jack understood in the moment that Vane came back.
Yes.
The fact that he came back was Jack knows Vane well enough to understand that was the moment that Vane said, "Okay, I'm in. Like I'm part of this.
Absolutely.
I'm part of this for real." He was already part of the coalition, but the moment that he came back was when, he had rejected it and he came back. So Jack knew now that Vane was part of the long game. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm ready to move on to the other side of Nassau, to our having pardon side of Nassau, our affiliated with England side of Nassau.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, let's start with Max and Georgia.
Oh yeah. Goodness gracious.
Goodness gracious is right.
A good time.
Well, Max is at least.
Max certainly is. Yes. Georgia's performing her function quite admirably.
So I feel like this is the first time we maybe have seen Max actually have proper sex, where she is the person having an orgasm.
Yeah.
That's
a good point. I think you're right. She's always been performing the sex.
Right. And then even when she was, I'm going to guess that, she and Anne, we just didn't see it. Like she and Anne obviously had a period where they were probably having very... what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say, I keep wanting to say collaborative.
Collaborative sex. Mutually enjoyed.
That they were having, that they were having actual sex with each other and not servicing one another.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Mm-hmm.
But we didn't see that sex.
Right.
The last time we saw them was when they were with Jack, and I feel like that was still a period where Max was using sex.
Still using
not
sex. Not
having sex. Yeah. I guess that's the distinction I'll make between using sex and having sex. So,
well, and even then, this is still a usage of sex.
Well, sure, but she's the one being serviced.
Yes, she is being serviced now.
Right.
Yeah. So that is very true. She is being serviced.
Seemingly very well serviced, in fact.
Yeah. No, it's clear that at least all of the necessary...
Wow, we're being really hilarious talking around this.
We are. Anyway, it's clear that she is enjoying herself and getting her stress relieved in the way that she needed it to be.
Exactly.
Yes. Mechanically, everything is working very well for our girl Max, which is great.
Which is good.
But I wouldn't call it good sex.
No, of course not. We know that Black Sails is very clear about what good sex looks like. And we don't get a lot of it, but when we see it,
almost never get it. Yeah,
when we see it, we know what it looks like. But as good as Georgia is at that part, she seems less good at the mining. The seduction, the mining for information.
Right. Yeah,
as
which
Max.
surprised me actually, because she was handpicked by Mapleton, so you would think that she'd be a little better at it,
right? But, Yeah, I know. It is interesting. Maybe she underestimated Max. Also, Mapleton is newly back in this role. So, and she did say she's new. So it's possible that Mapleton didn't quite understand. Again, I really believe, and I feel like this episode confirms that her main purpose was to be blonde.
Just to be her type. Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
But yes, she starts way too early, way too awkwardly. Not that Max would ever fall for this, so it doesn't really matter. But I thought it was interesting that they chose to have her be so awkward about it, because she really was so awkward about it. So yeah, and I do love that Max says to her, I've played all the games.
Yeah.
And again, it's just so interesting to see Max in this role, to see Max be both the John and the Mark. That's just never been a place we've seen her be.
That is interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
It was interesting. So then we do have when Eleanor comes.
Excuse me?
Oh, man. Liz!
You're so red.
You always manage to do this to me.
I know. Do you need to take your sweater off?
No, I actually did already. When Matt... Just going to take a minute.
Go right ahead. Take all the time you need, love.
Excuse me.
Uh-huh.
I am leaving all of that in.
Hashtag proper podcasters.
When Eleanor arrives at the brothel, she totally gives Georgia a look, which I just love. Like that was,
yes.
She's just like, sorry, yeah. I don't know why I keep harping on this. I just love the idea that Georgia is Eleanor's doppelganger, and that's Max's weakness. So she explains to Max about the exchange with Anne, and of course Max is going to understand this. Like,
right,
of course. I don't think I'm disappointed should Eleanor have seen it? I think Eleanor shouldn't have seen it, because I don't think Eleanor quite understands that level of love and devotion. I don't think she would understand that Anne should not have gone down fighting.
Oh.
She understands it pretty quickly when Max is talking about it. Like, it dawns on her pretty quickly. Right? She shouldn't have known that. That's something that Max would know, but Eleanor would not know.
Right. I think that's correct.
And then they bring it to Chamberlain. Chamberlain.
Which is a great scene.
So doesn't get it. I know.
No.
Yes. And did you notice Eleanor swore again?
Yes, absolutely I did.
Which is interesting. It's an interesting thing to have happen here. I mean, do we feel now? I'm just curious where this fits in our whole spectrum of Eleanor and swearing, because okay, so she was swearing in the beginning, and we had basically said that her true self is the non-swearing self, and the swearing was kind of an act she was putting on.
Swagger. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
I see what you're saying.
I don't think she's doing swagger with Chamberlain. I think this is when she kind of loses it, and she
just
reverts
kind of lost her cool from
right.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. Again, she didn't need to be a person who never swears before. So I guess this isn't significant in her spectrum of swearing, because she doesn't really swear. I mean, I think she has sworn twice in this whole season. She does it.
Wow.
She did it when she told Woods Rogers that she was fucking Vane.
Right.
Which I do think that was, in that case, in that situation, that was actually her protecting herself. Like, she admitted that in a crude way, because I think she was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Admitting it. And this is her just losing it. She's just exasperated.
Right. Yep. That's exactly what I think.
And I love that Max, Chamberlain's like, there are many routes. There's no way. And Max is like, yeah, except that I know that you chose that route because my boy saw. She's like, you didn't send scouts on all the other routes, did you? And I'm just like, this is such a thin, like, if they were serious about this multiple routes, they should look like they were using multiple routes.
Yeah.
He so underestimates Nassau.
Very true.
And Chamberlain swears too, which was interesting.
I really liked him throwing that back
Did you
at
like
her,
that?
actually. I did like that, yeah.
I'm amused.
And then
by
following it up with ladies.
Oh,
it was very smarmy. And
I know.
Yeah.
He's such an ass. I hate him.
He is, yeah. I like him, though. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I hate him.
Right. I like him, hate him. Definitely. And then I love when Eleanor goes to Hornigold. There's many aspects of when Eleanor comes to talk to Hornigold, when she tries to get Hornigold to...
Oh, yes.
I love that he's like, wait, there was this plan and nobody knew but you. And she's like, oh no, Lots of people knew. Just you didn't know.
Uh-huh. Yep.
I really like it when she puts Hornigold in his place. It really makes me happy. Deep down, it makes me so happy. And then she's right. She says, Chamberlain can ignore this because he doesn't know who he's dealing with, but you don't have that excuse, which is very true. And then he talks about seeing that light in the distance, which
is really smart. Uh-huh.
But it's interesting that he was
not done anything about it. Yeah, why was he sitting on that information, I wonder?
Right.
Just waiting until, he could find out whether it was useful to him, I suppose.
I guess. I mean, that was really interesting why he would hold that to himself. I mean, again, maybe he was afraid of exactly what Eleanor and Max are brave enough to do, that he was afraid of bringing something up and having Chamberlain or Woodes Rogers say, this is crazy, you're absurd. Yeah. And maybe he's just not brave enough to do that.
Right.
Which totally works for me with his character. That does work for me, that he would have just sat on that information and not kind of stuck himself out there in a way that could be damaging to his reputation.
Yeah.
So our last bit with Max and Eleanor, when they don't know yet, when Woodes Rogers is out in the carriage and they don't know yet what'll happen, they do understand that there is a conspiracy. And there's two aspects of their conversation. Like Eleanor's kind of dread. She's just like, oh, everyone's sick, and possible conspiracy,
right.
And also Spain. And Max is very interesting, the way she talks to Eleanor. Like she's easing her mind. Like she's like, okay, well, you and I are going to survive this.
Right. No matter what.
And we know Flint. And, this whole Spain thing, kind of a bummer, but we can deal with that too. And this reminded me of what Woodes Rogers said to Eleanor when she was basically trying to take that approach with him about Spain. And he's like, well, if this thing goes south, like it's not you and me who are going to be fighting Spain. England will make us leave Nassau. Somebody else will be fighting that battle. So this is interesting. Like this is a shifting sands moment because Max is saying, you and me, Eleanor, we're in this together.
Right.
There's no talk of like Eleanor going back to England or being hung. She's saying you and I can deal with this in a way that, was Eleanor's first instinct.
Yeah.
She is very clearly grouping the two of them together and then bringing up the true danger, which is the true danger, is that there is a spy amongst them.
Yeah.
That they are losing control from within.
Right.
But I loved how in this one tiny conversation, Max basically said, we are together and we have to deal with our common problem within our world, which is our world. Isn't that neat? It's very subtle. And I really think that is significant. How quickly these two have become a coalition.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think Max has never been good about separating herself from Eleanor. So,
I think it's that. I think she's also just, like we've always known, Max just really smart.
Yep, that is true.
So, she's going to make coalitions where the coalitions need to be.
That's a good point.
So yeah, I mean, it's funny because I think the emotion she has towards Eleanor actually would keep her from doing this.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like because I think it's clear in the last few episodes, she's still extremely hurt by Eleanor.
Yes. Yeah.
But she's choosing to make this coalition. It's the smart coalition to make. And maybe, and maybe on the flip side, you're right. Maybe on some level, this is kind of what Max always wanted, was to be in coalition with Eleanor. Yeah. Right. There's probably many layers of this.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and now it's time to talk about Eleanor and Woodes Rogers at the end.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I have aspects of this scene that I like, and then there's one aspect of the scene that I really don't love.
Okay, let's hear it.
And this has been, okay, well, I'll start with what I love.
Okay.
I love that he gives her credit. That he gives her credit for sending Hornigold, that he says basically our last hope right now is because you sent Hornigold to go chase the walrus.
Yep, that's very good.
I also love that she's looking out the window and he says, Eleanor, look at me. And for me, that reminds me of the moment in the fort when Eleanor is trying to get Vane to be smart about when Flint wants to bomb the fort. And it's the same thing. He's looking out the window, and she says, "Look at me," because she wants to talk about how that was the first moment when we talked about Eleanor seeing Vane, that we talked about how she was giving him the respect to make plans with him and try to get him to look at the long game and strategy. So this is an interesting mirror of that.
Yeah. No, I like that.
That Woods
I hadn't
Rogers
put that together.
Woods Rogers is exactly worried about her being consumed by revenge and anger and the short game.
Is that what you think he's worried about?
Well, I think he's worried about many things, but I think that's part of it. I mean, he says it. He's worried that she's going to be consumed by her petty rivalries and revenge.
Okay. All right.
And he says, this is the point where I need to be able to depend on you. I need you to be my partner. Oh, they're talking about Charles. He's worried that the fact that Vane is now captured and in the fort will be the thing that keeps Eleanor, that brings her, that whole thing he was concerned about last episode, about her kind of going back into her Nassau self and not being the strategic partner for him that he wanted.
Okay. Yeah. No, I guess I just thought that he was more concerned about just her having this surge of emotions because Charles Vane was there and because he'd been captured and the loss of Rackham and Anne and just things spinning out of control. I guess I considered it was more that he was worried about her losing control of her emotions than it was about revenge. Because to me, it felt like a reveal, like a turn when she said that she wanted to execute him, that she wanted to be part of what brought him down, because I think that he maybe was considering that her old feelings for him were coming back. Having
interesting.
Him there, that she was maybe going to express sympathy for the cause of Nassau, that she might want to join the side of the fight against Spain from the Nassau side rather than from the England side. And then when she says, "No, I want Charles Vane to hang," was supposed to be like a surprise, like a turn.
Okay, that's really interesting. Okay.
I don't know though.
Wow,
it's how I read it, but now I'm doubting myself and I'm not sure.
That's so interesting. I mean, I guess the only reason I said that is because he had talked before about her wanting revenge. I mean, this isn't he had actually talked in earlier scenes in other episodes about worrying that she would want revenge. I mean, that's funny. The thing you're talking about might actually make me like the part I don't like better.
Oh, well, what's the part you don't like?
Okay, so what I don't love here is that I do like that she says because all the things she says. What does she say? So you're saying that he says, "The moment I need you best," he's worried about the embodiment of her temptation. So you see that temptation as for her to be with Vane again, not to get revenge on him?
Yeah, I think so. Like to suddenly feel sympathy for this cause that he just sacrificed and gave himself up for his friends for the cause of Nassau.
Oh, that is interesting.
Shift her loyalty.
Right. I mean, I guess I'm working more on my knowledge of Eleanor than Woods Rogers. You think that Woods Rogers, perhaps in his mind, thinks that she would want to be part of Nassau again?
Yes.
That's so interesting. Okay, well, so the part that I don't love is that it has always bothered me, her confession, is that she says that when he walked into her jail cell in London, she didn't think about anything except for revenge for the murder of her father. Mm-hmm. I've just always had a hard time believing that. I've always had a hard time believing that is her only motivation. I do not like this
part.
Okay.
Yeah, all of this to come, where we're supposed to believe that all she thinks of Charles Vane now is that you murdered my father, when her relationship with her father was complete shit.
I mean, I believe that again, they were kind of having moments right before he died.
Sure.
And I do believe that she probably told herself the story and started to believe it, that this was based on some deeper relationship.
Gone back and romanticized it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure she did that. And yet still, it's hard for me to imagine that when she's about to be hung for piracy, that's the only thing she can think of.
Yeah.
And I can't see any reason why she would tell Woodes Rogers that's the only thing she can think of, unless that's what we're supposed to think she's believing. You know what I mean? Like she has, there's no, I can't think of any motivation for her saying that if it wasn't what the character's supposed to be feeling right then. I don't believe it. I don't believe that Eleanor didn't want to save her own life or didn't want revenge for the people who betrayed her.
Right.
For hers. It's just hard for me to believe that really the only thing that's motivating her at that moment, that moment in London.
Right. Sure.
Was revenge for her father.
Yeah,
again, she has daddy issues. She has daddy issues.
She does.
No question.
God knows. Mm-hmm.
Right. And still, I feel like that was they went a little too far in that description of her or her own description of herself. But at the same time, your idea, I like it better in your case if he's saying, I'm worried that you want to join with Charles Vane. Like if he's worried, then it actually makes more sense. This is the first time it actually makes a little sense for me for her to say in such strong terms that the only thing she wanted was revenge.
Right.
Because that actually would be a way to prove to him that she doesn't want to join Charles Vane.
Yes.
So I like your I'm going to take on your interpretation of what I choose to take on your interpretation of what he was worried about, because it actually makes the wanting revenge for her father make more sense as something she would say. Again, that's her saying, I'm going to be honest because I love you and I'm devoted to you, and then not being 100% honest, which I totally buy from Eleanor. That I'm okay with. I am totally okay with Eleanor saying, I love you, I'm going to be honest with you, and then saying what she needs to say.
Right.
That works for me. So that all, like, your idea works much better for me. Like, if they were already talking about revenge, and then she talks about revenge, that works less for me.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, kind of on a dramatic level, I really love the going back and forth between her talking like this and watching her walk to the cell and then arrive in the cell. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that part I really like. I also love the look on her face. I love that she has the look of that person who's so overcome with emotion that their eyes go dead.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's like after you've been crying for a really long time and your kind of face can't show emotion anymore. I love the look on her face when she's saying these things. Like, it seems bizarrely almost robotic, but for me that works because it feels like it's the face someone would put on when they have so much going on that they like kind of have to, like, your body's overwhelmed so much that you no longer can show any emotion, which is a thing. I don't really do that personally because I show a lot of emotion when I show emotion, but I've seen other people do this. It's a thing I'm aware of. And I feel like it works for the way that Eleanor would deal possibly with feeling more emotion right now than she's ever felt.
Yeah. No, I think that's right.
I feel like that's kind of where she is between, possibly being in love in a way she's never been in love before and dealing with what must be very, very complex emotions about Vane, even though she would like for them not to be complex. And all the worry, just the general worry and danger and all of that.
Yes.
So, yeah. I'm going to have to think about that scene some more.
Yeah, maybe watch it over again.
Okay.
For time number 9 or whatever it's going to be. Yeah.
Oh, sweetie, I think I'm way past 9 times for watching this episode.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you have to realize that I watched this show. Should I not be admitting this? I guess I'm just admitting it.
It's your life, girl.
Yeah. I mean, before we ever decided to do Fathoms Deep, I watched season 3 at least 3 or 4 times before.
Wow.
I mean, and seasons 1 and 2 even more than that.
Right.
So,
that's amazing.
I know. Yeah, like I said before, I really like this show. I watched
it's pretty great.
I've watched it many times.
I'm glad you forced me into watching it.
I know, me too.
Thank you for forcing my hand.
Oh, so happy to have. Okay, let's talk about Silver and Maddie.
Oh, let's. I do just adore them. Gosh, Maddie is amazing. Every time she's on screen, I love her more.
I know. It's totally true.
Oh, she's
Every episode
so good.
She gets better.
Yes. Yeah, we start out with the two of them in the cabin, right? He is actually looking fine, considering the evening that he had the night before, right?
Well, he has moments of looking a tad bit haunted, but yes, he's doing okay.
Not until she brings it up, really.
Right, that's true. That's true, because he's a little bit jokey before that.
He is, yeah. He's just having a happy day, and yeah.
Yes, I love how he explains. I love how he explains their position and how they're able to see the island.
It's so funny when he talks about just like repeating phonetically what the group says. He's like, basically he says, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I got here by accident because someone hacked my effing leg off. And I'm just learning and doing the best that I can.
I love it. I love
it. Which actually
is
a lot of vulnerability on his part to tell her that.
Exactly. I love that he admits it to her. I love that he admits it to her in such a in a funny way. I mean, he does it in a really arch way. It's just a great interaction. Mm-hmm. I love what she says. I just will never stop loving this line when he explains it. She says, "How does one determine this position, one in which we exist and don't exist at the same time?" I love that. Again, I don't think it really has, a huge amount of meaning for the greater show, but I just love it. I love the way she says that. I kind of love the way she speaks.
I love the way she speaks too.
Right? Yeah. So I think that's what it is.
It's a wonderful performance.
Right. Mm-hmm. I'm just fascinated by her words. I'm fascinated by the way she says her words. I really like it.
Her cadence is really beautiful.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. So then he makes his little jokes about learning as he goes.
Yeah.
And then she says, "What your men and my men think of you is evolving as we speak."
Yes.
He's a little jokey. She not so jokey.
She's pretty serious right now.
She's pretty serious. She says that the story's been told as many times as there are men on the crew. I think that's what she said. And then it just breaks my heart. The thing that I love is that when she's saying this, the focus changes from her face to his face. Mm-hmm. And you see, he looks up, but not at her. Remember, we've been talking about how much he looks at her. He looks up, but not at her. And that is the moment when he gets a little serious.
Yeah.
When she's talking about that. And then he asks her if she's concerned about him.
Yeah. Oh. You're concerned about me, he says. Yep.
Oh, dear Silver.
And she doesn't quite fess up to that. She kind of does a little at the end.
No, she totally does not at all fess up to that. No, not even a little bit fesses up to that.
Yeah, no, you're right. She doesn't.
She's like, I'm concerned for our coalition is what she says.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
But the interesting thing about the way she says it is that she is talking about the coalition being based on his state of mind. There is no mention of Flint here. She completely talks about how the coalition is dependent. Oh. She brings up...
Well, yeah, I guess I only thought of that because... I mean, where is Flint at this point? He's in with...
He's on New Providence Island,
he's
right?
in the inland, yeah.
Right. Still, I feel like this was significant. She didn't say, you and the captains. She also separated them by reminding him that he spoke about being concerned about going to this place of darkness.
Yeah, yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I think she's very deliberately talking about her and Silver's coalition.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
There's not a mention of Flint here.
Yeah.
I mean, except Flint as a potential danger.
Right, except
as a source of darkness.
Definitely, yes. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, right. She says, if your mind is not clear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then he says, I don't want to repeat that night, which is a little interesting after him just having said very recently how good the darkness feels.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and
I'd forgotten about that. Yeah.
Right? So, again, he's, I feel like he's, not being 100% honest after they had the whole conversation about her being a tether.
Yeah.
But she was offering herself as a tether, and he was interested in that when he found the darkness only scary.
Yes.
Not when the darkness feels
that's a
good.
Call, Daphne. Yep, that's good.
So we'll see how that plays out. But in the meantime, he tells her his mind is clear, and then and then Dooley comes in and just cuts that conversation short.
Yep.
Right. So then Dooley brings him in to see the person from her people who had been beat up, and Dobbs
awful.
And it's interesting because Dobbs says, look, they killed our people. They did all this stuff. And this is very interesting because she had just talked about his state of mind and needing it for the coalition. And this is a time where I feel like who knows what choices he would have made it if they didn't just have that conversation, like about the importance of the coalition, because he then clearly makes all of his choices about the coalition.
He does, yeah. And you can see when he's told that this is the one who chose the people from their side who are going to be tortured and killed, you can see how that affects him emotionally, and you can see the anger and the rage in his eyes. But he does decide, to do what's in the best interest of the coalition. You're absolutely right.
Right. And, Dooley comes up. The thing I love most is that Dooley comes up with solutions that we would have seen in their crew in the past, like either kill the man who had been beaten or give him a knife, let him kill Dobbs. And, partly Silver's just being strategic, like, well, we can't really have Dobbs disappear. We can't do that other thing.
Right.
But I feel like the choice to go and get Maddie and bring her into that room was such...
It's a gorgeous choice.
Right?
Gosh. Yeah. It's so good.
And it just feels to me like such a revolutionary choice for Silver.
It is. Yep. And it also shows how much he's already starting to depend on her for her wisdom and her leadership abilities.
Absolutely. And have already learned from her.
Yes.
And have already learned from her. And it's just right. Okay, so Maddie asks for the knife, and then we have this incredible moment. Okay, what did you think the first time she asked for the knife, the first time you watched it? Do you remember what you thought she was going to do?
I was surprised that they gave it to her. No, I mean, there were several options. She was either going to cut him loose, she was going to stab him, or she was going to stab the other dude. I mean,
exactly.
Like those are the three options of what she can do. And really the interesting part to me was if anyone was going to give her the knife, and if so, whom. And the fact that Silver does, and I love that he hesitates. When he hands it to her, there's that hesitation where she has to make eye contact.
Right.
And there's just this, like, we're in this together, right? This is going to be all right. So it's a great sequence.
See, I feel like the pausing and holding onto the knife was a moment where he was trying to manage her the way he's always managed Flint. And he's about to learn a new way. I do. I feel like he was trying, Silver's always trying to control the situation.
Right.
He's always, that whole idea of holding everything together with his two hands.
Yeah.
I think his instinct when he's around another strong person is to try, again, he wouldn't have forcibly, but I think that was a moment where he was trying to influence her, let's say.
Yeah. Okay.
My question, and then we'll talk in a second about his rebuke that he gets from her. He learns his lesson quickly in this episode about trying to manage Maddie. My question is, so I definitely thought that she was going to stab her own person the first time I watched it. I was positive. And then I realized the reason I thought that is because that's very likely what Flint would have done.
Yes, it sure is.
Right?
Yep, that's exactly what Flint would have done. Yeah, good call.
So this was our first illustration. I mean, we've had moments of this, but I felt like this is our first strong moment of seeing, whoa, there are very different ways to lead your people.
Yes.
Right? And then she makes it clear. Then she says, like, he's like, see, then Silver's trying to manage again. He's like, he can't leave the room. I need to manage this situation. I need to like get all the story. Like, again, totally the way he's always interacted with Flint and his crew to like try to manage, be the smart one, be the person who thinks of all the angles and manages everyone to the best outcome. And Maddie's having none of that. Because her context is so different that Silver's way of managing people isn't even relevant. Yeah. And that's just gorgeous. And and she totally puts him in his place, and she love it.
Does. Yep.
And I just feel like, you know, when he sees her say that to him, when she says, like, he learns 2 strong lessons, I think, in this episode, and this is the first of them. That the idea that there's a world where when I tell my men, what does she say? When I speak, my men listen and do as I say.
Yep.
Yep. So lesson number 1, Mr. Silver, there are leaders that are that kind of leader.
Yes.
It's not a democratic way to be a leader.
No.
So this is an interesting thing where we're holding up someone who is not even remotely democratic after we've had all of this, you know, stuff about kind of the beauty of the weird, violent quasi-democracy of pirates, but that's messy. This is not messy.
No. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
I think
very
Silver,
concise.
Right. I think Silver finds that attractive.
I'm sure he does. Yeah.
Yep. And then we have the scene with them on the deck when he comes up to her and thanks her.
Yep.
Do you think that he anticipates what she's about to say? Like, I definitely felt like he's thanking her and thinks that they're already done, that they're already made peace with each other.
Yeah. I was surprised by what she had to say, and I respected her more as he did.
Right. Exactly.
Every time she talks, I respect her more. So, I mean, gosh, she's just amazing. Yeah.
She is amazing. Yes, I love what she says. And I love that she keeps saying, you can imagine.
Yes. Yeah. Especially because there's something in that when she says, you can imagine, that implies because you know me.
Right. Right.
You know? And I really like that. Yeah.
Oh, and she's so angry and she's so holding her shit together. Again, in contrast to Flint. I mean, this.
Yep.
Think about Flint in this situation. Think about how he shot those men for stealing food. And I love it. And then she says at the end, she says, you can imagine all the things I wanted to do, basically.
Yeah.
And then she says, I will fight this thing rising up in me, eager for blood. I will serve them by minding their future and doing the hard thing.
And doing the hard thing. Yep.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about that is that while she's saying this and Silver assures her that this will never happen again, he was also doing a hard thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I loved his choice.
I loved his choice too.
That was Silver, right? I mean, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think it was clear that was his.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, his idea.
Yes. He told them to do that. He is their leader.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Right.
And when he says not a word about this, yeah.
Yep.
I liked it. Strong choice.
Yes, it is very much. The thing I wanted to discuss about this, which I guess we did a little bit, but I feel like we now, we have Flint and we have Silver and we have Maddie, right? We have this coalition.
Right.
And I feel like, Flint and Maddie are showing very different forms of leadership. Where do we see where do we think Silver is right now in all of this? Like, do you think, you know what? We're going to save that question. We're going to save this question for a little bit. Okay. I'm just very excited to talk about it.
Yeah,
I'm very excited to talk. There. I know. I know. It's hard for me not to talk about Silver's whole arc soon.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so with that, let's go into our thesis statements.
Ready to guns! Full complement!
All right, Liz. This week, sadly, not as clear as last week.
It's true. Last week was very clear. We have a lot of pirate names to give out here momentarily.
Yep.
This one was harder. I feel like it's got to be that conversation between Jack and Woodes Rogers in the carriage when he was talking about accepting the world as it is or not accepting the world as it is, right?
Right. You expect the world to become what you would like it to be despite all available evidence to the contrary. Do we think that... Or the you people. It's fascinating to me how stubbornly you people expect the unlikeliest of outcomes. Actually, I'm going to go with that part.
That's
that
the one
part
I
of
like.
it.
Yep.
Right.
That
how you
part.
people stubbornly expect the unlikeliest of outcomes.
Yep.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Okay, we're going to go with that because that...
And it worked out, too. There were some unlikely outcomes, yeah. Anne and Jack, and then that awful beating of Dobbs.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's going to be the one.
Okay. Well, we will go with that this time. Okay. Do you have some pirate names? We have a long list.
There was a long list of pirate names. Luckily, a lot of people are just getting promotions, so that made it easier on my poor, sad brain. All right, so I'm going to start with someone who gets a brand new pirate name who has not had one before. Gypsy Librarian on Twitter, my fellow INFP. So I went with a gypsy name. I'm going to call her Esmeralda Salt.
Excellent.
You like it?
I do. I like it very much.
And then Megan, who is Ithaca on Twitter.
Hi, Megan.
Hi, Megan. For some reason, I was really stuck on Icarus for a while because of Ithaca, and I couldn't make anything work with Icarus. So I gave her something completely different and completely silly. Megan is now our dagger-eyed dame.
Oh, I love that. I think Megan's going to like that.
Good. I hope so.
Megan, serious lover of pirates and relatively new mom.
Oh, how exciting. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, her son's name is Leo.
Leo, I like that very much. Very strong. Okay, so let's see. Here are my other people. Kelly, who is Caliban Kelly. She already has a ship, right? She's a captain already? No. Damn it.
We're so bad. We're so bad at this. We made a game and we
we can't keep track well at all.
I know. We needed a
spreadsheet. Somebody make a spreadsheet of pirate names, please.
Neither of us have that kind of inclination to keep track of things like that, which was a downside to our lovely game.
Shit.
Oh, it's okay. Kelly, tell us if we get it wrong and we'll fix it next episode.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that she's already captain, but I'm not positive. So just in case, what I did is I made her a ship name though. So your ship, Kelly, is called the Vesper. So if that's correct, if you are supposed to be captain now, then that's your ship. And if you're already a captain and you get a new ship, then it's the Vesper anyway, and you still win. Okay. And then Jen, red-handed Jen, she's also already gotten a promotion, at least one. So if she...
I'm just so amused with us.
I know, it's terrible.
Jen is a quartermaster. I think she's a captain now.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
She was a quartermaster.
Yeah,
because I gave her a ship name too. So I am right. I need to just trust my gut on these things. So, and her ship is the Squall.
Excellent.
Fantastic. And then Andrew Dice, he was our cabin boy. Now he's a proper pirate, bloody knuckles, and up to bosun. So get the man a whistle.
All right.
Stormy Morley, who already has the Tempest, now gets to take a ship.
So basically, Stormy Morley will actually have a fleet at this point.
Holy shit.
I know.
Can she be like an admiral now?
No, she's a pirate. She just have a fleet. Like,
it's true.
Like Teach. Teach has a fleet.
What's Teach's ship called? You know what? Her new ship is called Ocracoke then.
Oh, excellent.
Yep. Oh, and then Chumbucket Charlie. Chumbucket Charlie has definitely gotten at least one promotion to bosun, and I believe is now a quartermaster. If I'm wrong and you need a ship, hit me up on Twitter. I will get you a ship.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure that they're just up to quartermaster now.
Yeah, Charlie, if you are supposed to be a captain now, we will announce your ship name next episode.
We will. Yeah, just let us know, just in case that we mess that up, because we do not have a spreadsheet. We're just working from memory and scotch.
Right, I was going to say, also, we always do this at the end of the podcast when we've had a lot of scotch.
A little bit loopy. You're welcome. Okay, so that's going to wrap us up for this week. Thanks so much for joining us.
Nope, we're not done. You didn't tell me your favorite part. I still don't know what my favorite part is, because my favorite part is like basically all of Black Sails, but I will come up with something. But first, tell me yours.
My favorite part is going to be Maddie when she goes in and cuts the ropes of the guy and then explains why she is the most badass woman in the world of Black Sails. When I speak, my men listen.
Yeah. No, that is totally... Oh, okay, I have two things. Can I do two things this time?
Sure.
One, Max's robe, her little dressing gown with the sparkly gold. Holy moly, I actually took a screenshot of that to show it to my daughter.
Gorgeous. Yep.
Right. Incredible. But...
Incredible.
Right. But really, my favorite thing is actually Jack's backstory. I love his backstory so much.
That's a good favorite part. I like it.
Yep. All right. Now we're done.
Okay, now we're done. So thank you so much for joining us this week, everybody. And until next time, from Common Room Radio, I am Liz Stevens.
And I'm Daphne Olive.
Fathoms Deep is a Common Room Radio production. For more information and access to other programs, please visit us at commonroomradio.com. To show your support, pledges of as little as $1 a month can be made to patreon.com/commonroomradio. Join the conversation by using the hashtag #Fathoms Deep and follow us on Twitter at Black Salescast. We ask that you keep your tweets respectful and positive, and please avoid spoilers. If you have more to say, we want to hear it in all its spoiler glory. Email us at podcast@commonroomradio.com with Fathoms Deep in the subject line. Thanks for listening. All right, we'll dive into our characters then. Prepare to board. That's the one. I was like, what is this one? Okay. Prepare to board.
26, and we still forget.
I know, right? I was like,
That's a scotch. Okay, well, sorry. Maybe this is my favorite part. I don't know. We'll see. I think, I'm going to just end up now that I said I didn't know what my favorite part is. I'm just going to be like, yeah, that's my favorite part. No, wait, that's my favorite part. No, that's my favorite part. That'll be me this time.